Hey everybody, it's Allie and welcome to our Y&R chat for Sunday, October 23rd, 2016. Let's get right to the GC Buzz, the big news story of the week. Connie is retired? No party, no fond farewell, no pair of $3,000 pumps as a retirement gift from Victor. I have not seen Connie, Victor's assistant, in probably a decade. But somehow it completely bugged me that we got this news out of nowhere that she's retired. It feels so final. I'm never gonna see Connie again. They did cast the woman at one point. She had a role on the show. She was Victor's, always right there outside of Victor's office, and then she just slowly faded away over the course of time, and now just knowing that I'll never see her again, it somehow upsets me. Fare thee well, Connie. We're giving you a retirement party here at Y&R Chat, even if Victor, the cheapo, didn't do anything for her. I kind of loved and was surprised, of course, to see Natalie as Victor's new assistant, though. It was a little bit fun. We hadn't seen her in a while. I entirely assumed that she was gone forever from the show, and it was nice to see a familiar face. I have always thought that she and Victor had a nice little rapport. Of course, I've speculated that she's his daughter. I'm never gonna let that go. But either way, it's kind of fun to see them playing off of each other, and it was just sort of a nice little thing that they had going on, and I was glad to see Natalie back. And it doesn't hurt that now Victor has somebody who is tech savvy in his corner, given the full-on assault that Jack Abbott is waging against him. Jack is focused. He is single-minded. He has discovered through these documents that were leaked to him that he probably paid for that Victor is cooking the books at Newman Enterprises, trying to make it look like profits are way better than they are, which, even though it's a privately held company, is a big deal. And Jack immediately wants to go to Christine. He wants to turn Victor into the legal authorities, but Phyllis is hanging around in the background, keeping an eye on her man, or her former man. And she, I think, even though is deciding to throw herself in on the plan to get back at Victor, I think she's really just trying to keep an eye on Jack and make sure that he doesn't do anything that's going to hurt himself in this process of seeking revenge. So she has a better plan. She says to Jack, let's not go to the authorities. That could end up backfiring in our faces. Why don't we just leak these documents to GC Buzz? It'll be all over the news. Victor will be slaughtered. Everyone is going to be talking about this. Our hands will be clean. Your hands, Jack, will be clean. And in fact, Phyllis says, if anything goes wrong with any of this, I'll take the fall. So she is really, I think, wanting to help Jack facilitate this plan and keep an eye on him to make sure that he doesn't get hurt in the process, or hurt any more than he already has been. Yet, it's interesting to me that every step along the trail, it feels like Jack is also trying to protect Phyllis. Are you guys getting that vibe? I mean, there's definitely this feeling of unresolved issues and feelings and emotions on both of their parts. Jack has had opportunities to tell everybody that this was Phyllis's idea or to drag her into it, but he has denied to Ashley and to Billy and to everyone that Phyllis was involved in leaking these documents to GC Buzz at all. So he kind of appears to be looking out for her in a way, and also he sort of includes her in the celebration once everything has gone according to plan. It's clear to me that Red gives Jack the same old sparks. There were so many instances of it this week where you could just feel that Jack instinctively wanted to trust his wife. He wanted to lean on her. He wanted to relish in how brilliant she is at scheming, and yet he has to kind of pull himself back. Phyllis was so perfectly coiffed this week with her beautiful, beautiful hair and that blue dress that she was wearing. Just the way she carries herself, and especially when she is cohorting with Jack, it's very sexy and very assured of herself, which is so much different than the Phyllis we've seen over the past couple of months, where she really kind of got a kick to her self-esteem because of everything she was doing with the affair. But she really feels like she's coming back in a big, bad, bold way, and I'm sure that in a lot of ways that makes her even more attractive to Jack. But just because he loves her, and I think he does, that just doesn't disappear overnight, I think that it doesn't mean that he's going to forgive her. I think in some ways Phyllis is sort of expecting that he will, which is so presumptuous on her part. Don't you think? I mean, it's like Phyllis, I think, expects that she's going to be able to work her red magic and toss some sexy dust onto Jack, and he is going to fall over and forgive her. And like the fact that she went to Jack's house and she is showing him that she is looking out for him, and how what a great job she's done with this task of getting these documents destroyed and out to GC Buzz. She wants to kind of brag and show herself as loyal to Jack, and she's still expecting him to treat her like his wife. She expects him to take her coat when she walks in the door, and she expects a dinner invite for to sit down over Mrs. Martinez's pot roast and to just break bread, and that everything's going to be okay. And that's not going to happen. Jack has made that clear time and time again throughout the week. Just because he's lonely doesn't mean that he is automatically going to go back to her. I loved the scene. It was at the end of the scene at the Abbott house where we just saw this portrait of Jack turning out the lights and walking up the stairs alone to where I think Jack wants to be with Phyllis, but I think Jack is now finding this cold comfort in the revenge plan that he's got against Victor, and it's the only thing that he has. It's the only thing that's going to keep him warm at night, because he's not wrong. Jack is not wrong to not welcome Phyllis back with open arms after she had this affair on him. I mean, it was a huge breach of trust. He has the right to be bitter. And I think that now all he really can do is just focus on the one thing that is bringing him a little bit of satisfaction. The deed is done. The docs are out to GC Buzz, and Jack really doesn't care very much who knows. He doesn't care if Ashley knows that he was behind it, if Billy knows, if Victor knows, if the whole world knows. He's not going to hide the fact that he was the one that leaked it. I mean, he's not outright saying it, but it's pretty clear in his demeanor that this was his big moment to shine. And this is just round one. This is just the beginning. Next week, we see a preview of Jack having a shady meeting in an alleyway with some guy. I don't even know what else he's going to possibly have in store, but he's telling this guy that Victor's ready for his entree. Victor, this has been the appetizer, and now it's time for the entree and the dessert. Let's give Victor his just desserts. I mean, Jack has turned completely to the dark side at this point. If I didn't know better, I think I would say that maybe Marco is alive. Maybe this is Marco and I don't know. Or maybe it's just like a hybrid of Jack and Marco. This is Jarko. We're seeing the beginnings of Jarko, and I'm dying to know how the YNR fans are feeling about it this week. Which version of Jack are you preferring? I think that's a good poll question for us all to participate in. YRChat.com is where you can cast your vote and tell me which version of Jack do you like better. We've seen the decent version of Jack where he is trying not to wage war with Victor, where he's trying trying to turn the other cheek, and now we're seeing this more devilish, more dastardly version of Jack. And some people might like that, some people might not like that. Which do you prefer? How do you like your Jack Abbott served? YRChat.com if you want to vote and sound off on what you think about this complete attitude change of Jack's. Personally, I really like it. I really enjoy it. I think that Peter Bergman does a very good job of putting on this persona, and it works very well in contrast to Victor. It feels very classic Y&R to me. Maybe it will get on my nerves as time goes on. I don't know, but for right now, I really like it, and I also look forward to the fact where he gets the smug smile smacked off his face, because you know that that's coming too. I think that Jack is in for a completely rude awakening. I think that Victor has planted these documents. I think that all of this is going to backfire in Jack's face. I think Victor planted the documents to test his employees' loyalty at Newman Enterprises and also to trick Jack, or maybe tricking Jack, or that Jack was the one that got a hold of it was the cherry on top. But I think that this is all within Victor's realm of been there, done that, already know it, already aware of it. He did subtly tell Natalie to wipe the computer systems to kind of cover his tracks, but that could simply be just to cover his tracks for the fact that he leaked this information. I just can't fathom that Victor isn't behind all of this. That just, to me, has to be the twist. Given that Victor is fairly fresh out of jail, I think he sees everything in his life and in his business as a loyalty test. And I think that him giving the appearance of impropriety and weakness is just his way of finding out who the vultures really are, you know? So next week he's going to be meeting with Phyllis. There was this sort of puzzling to me preview scene where he's in Phyllis's office waiting for her and telling her that he wants to be there to discuss their mutual goals. So he's on this. He's got a plan. Something is up. He's going to talk to Phyllis next week, and then also next week he has a meeting with Michael to start the legal process for his newest acquisition, GC Buzz. After the entire internet erupts with negative reaction toward Hilary and the new format for GC Buzz, the documents that expose Victor's book cooking land right in Hilary's hot little hands, and she's ready to go full tilt on this thing. She is looking for redemption. She doesn't want everyone talking smack about her. She gets a gift of a hot story landed right in her hands, and she wants to expose Victor and his company and get the ratings ready. I mean, she fires up the cameras without a whole lot of hesitation and just sits there in her chair and gives this super casual pose for doing this expose piece on Victor in her leather pants and her really cute curly haircut. I just loved the way she had her legs swung over the chair, and then she had her legs crossed. She just was moving around we're gonna have a casual conversation about corporate dirty work here. It was kind of a fun sequence to see Hilary reporting the dirt, although I think I'm going to enjoy her reporting personal dirt a little bit more than the corporate stuff, but it was great. I loved Hilary's little piece, except for the fact that Devon was standing in the background shooting daggers at her with his eyes the entire time. He is such a wet blanket on this hot story. I mean, he forces Hilary to go to Victor to get a counter comment, which I suppose, okay, fine, that's reasonable and rational in the world of reporting. You would want to give the other party at least a chance to comment, but how dare they tromp into Victor's office unannounced? Victor almost seemed a little happy to see and hear from Catherine's grandson, and then Hilary stuck the recorder up in his face and said, you want to comment on this? Because I'm going to totally blow up this whole story about your company. Victor first kicks them out And then after Hilary decides to go ahead and air the story, Victor pays a visit to the GC Buzz office, which it's such a hip atmosphere. It's kind of got this hipster vibe going on. And just seeing Victor in his black stuffy suit among all of this hipness is just kind of a jarring clash. But he decides to sit down and do a little interview just so that he could tell them publicly on camera, I'm gonna sue you and I'm gonna end up owning this show, and then as soon as I do, I'm gonna drop it in the garbage can where this trash belongs. And he rips off his microphone and tosses it. It was awesome. You go, Victor. I was totally on Victor's side. It was fun, and Hilary just sort of looked baffled. But I think she enjoyed it on a level, which is Hilary's personality. I think Hilary feeds on disapproval. This is kind of her thing. She's used to it. But Devon, on the other hand, can only see the whole world of headaches that is going to be opening up to him as he has to now deal with Victor's lawyers and everything. And he didn't want this anyway. Devon wanted to buy this GC Buzz as a way to change it and to report stories in a more responsible way. But I kind of feel like at the same time, he should have known better. I mean, just as an aside, I was thinking about Devon and Hillary this week, and I don't think that Devon loves Hillary for who she really is. I mean, in a way, I think he loves who he wants her to be. I just think, just let Hilary be Hilary and love her for who she is and let her get into trouble and let her do these things and embrace her, but stop trying to change a tiger's stripes. You're gonna waste all of your energy that way, and it's not gonna end up being fruitful. And now, by the way, she has decided to go by the name Hilary Curtis, her maiden name. She's dropping the Hamilton. Of course, she says it's so that there's no appearance of impropriety, like she's just married to the boss man. She wants to keep her maiden name, so she keeps it a little more separate. But that seems suspicious to me. It's more and more, I think, a wedge between Devon and Hilary. Something tells me that Abby and Stitch are not going to be the only couple breaking up in the park anytime soon. It feels like these two are on the verge of a break, and when that happens, I'm sorry, look out, Lily and Kane. I feel that coming from a mile away. Kane is spending way too much time at the office. He's pushing himself way too hard. He barely has time for his wife and his kids. We had that pumpkin carving incident this week, which was really sad. I mean, first of all, I don't know what possessed Kane and Jill and Lily to decide that it was okay to let those kids carve those pumpkins in a room with important documents and important presentation materials and whatever. I mean, you should have known that the kids were going to go in there and make a mess with pumpkins. It's not an office activity. This is an outdoor or a kitchen supervised children's activity. You don't do it in the office. You should have gone out to the picnic tables or something. So as far as I'm concerned, Kane, you got what you asked for. But it was really awkward because Kane kind of yelled at the kids, and it was not a happy Ashby family moment like we're used to seeing. It turned out to be quite a bit of a debacle, and just to me, there was a follow-up scene where Lily's trying to get Kane to come home at night so he can see her in her little sexy outfit, which Kane wants to. Kane loves his wife. I think he wants to be the family man, but he's getting drawn in. Lily can see it, and judging by last week, that look that we talked about that Lily gave to Hilary when Hilary was kind of praising Kane, and then this week we had that scene where Neil and Lily and Devon are having dinner together, and Lily is really digging into Hilary. Of course, Devon is defending her, but it was just a little bit extra. Lily felt a little bit extra vicious toward Hilary, and to me that says something's gonna go down between those two women. Lily and Hilary are gonna be at each other's throats. Maybe Hilary's gonna end up sleeping with Kane. Maybe if she is somehow taken away from Devon, or there's a break in their relationship, somehow maybe she's doing a report with Kane late at night and something happens. I don't know. That's gonna take some convincing for me. If Hilary and Kane do end up having a relationship, it's gonna take a leap to get me there, because Kane does seem like such a totally devoted family man, and I like him being a totally devoted family man. I like that Kane loves his wife and his children, and he has never expressed any interest really in any other woman in a while. I mean, the Lauren thing, I suppose, but for the most part, Kane has been just a really good guy, and I think it's going to be hard for me to imagine him just having an affair, but hey, you never know. Maybe Hilary will just make it look like she slept with Kane to tick Lily off and then do a big GC buzz story about it. Wouldn't be the first time. Last week we did kind of a fun poll question. Would you buy Bear by Brash and Sassy was the question. And 63% of YNR chatters said, yes, gimme. I want that Bear perfume. Just get the manufacturer, up the manufacturing process, get it on the shelves. We want to buy it. 37% said, no thanks, I'll pass. Maybe those are the men's. Maybe the guys aren't as into perfumes and stuff, but I'm telling you, I would buy it. I mean, shoot, if Bear by Brash and Sassy, if I could go buy it at Macy's or something, believe me, I'd be on there trying to buy it. Well, actually, no, to be completely honest, I would be trying to finagle myself a free bottle of it. I'd see if I could use some of the YNR chat clout, which is like nothing, just to see if I could get myself a $20 bottle of perfume. But I would try, and if I didn't succeed, I'd just go ahead and shell out the money for it. It's kind of funny because Lydia had left a comment at the website here saying, yes, I would buy it. I also bought the Jabot facial creams and lifts in the 80s. So I didn't know that YNR ever actually did release these brands that they put out there on the show. That's brilliant. Why aren't they still doing that? If they actually did go to manufacture on Bear, I'd be there. They really should kind of come up with a whole line of beauty care products that ties into the show, but that you could just purchase online. I mean, I'd be so there. Then again, I know, even just from doing the Genoa City soap stuff, it's so much easier to say, you should do that thing, than it is to actually do it and bring it to market and get it out there. And so, I mean, maybe they just found out it was not as good of a return on their investment, but I wish they would try. It could be a good way to do limited runs and then and kind of support the show. I would so do it. Also, I got a message on YouTube from Sharbut, who mentioned that we were kind of talking about other beauty care lines that YNR has come out with, and I was trying to think of the name that Drusilla was working on, and Sharbut said it was Beauty by Nature. Yeah, I think that is it, Beauty by Nature, because it was this all natural. I think there was like some herb or something. Didn't they have to go to Japan to get this herb or something like that? But I got a kick out of thinking about all of the past beauty care lines that Jabot and Newman have done along the way. I just think that was kind of fun. This was also, by the way, kind of a fun week for Billy fans. I mean, he was in full force this week. Jabot and Brash and Sassy are business rivals in the cosmetics world now, which I just love. In general, I love that YNR's bringing the cosmetics back to the forefront of this. But Jabot and Brash and Sassy have the same manufacturers, and they also have offices in the same building. There's huge conflicts of interest there. And Billy Billy finds out that Jabot outsmarted Brash and Sassy and blocked them from getting more of their product made. There's a high demand right now for Bear, and they need to have manufacturers who can produce it. And Ashley was smart enough to put in a big old order with a manufacturer so that there wouldn't be an opportunity to fill orders for Bear. So that was kind of a brilliant business move on Ashley's part too. But when Billy found out about it, he first he actually took a meeting that was trying to do something professional about it. Billy and Victoria, at Jill's behest, go to meet with the head of this manufacturing company. His name was Harrison, and Harrison, let's just say, seemed a whole lot more interested in Billy than in business. I would say Harrison had a little crush on Billy, and I'm for it. I mean, frankly, in the 5-minute scene that we had there, I felt like Billy and Harrison could have had more chemistry than Billy and Victoria. I'm on team Billy and Harrison forever. I'll get the t-shirts printed up. It was funny. It was a cute little scene. Harrison, he was just telling Victoria, like, girl, why'd you let that guy go? He's a catch. We're so headed back to a Billy and Victoria reunion. I don't know how I feel about it. Billy, but I will say, was very entertaining during that scene. I liked seeing Billy relaxed and trying to negotiate. And on the flip side, when the professional approach didn't work for Billy, didn't get him what he wanted, I also liked seeing him go to Jabot. First, he confronted Jack, which was a really, really sticky scene. And then he swings by Phyllis's office, of course, and sees her with that flash drive with the whole story about Newman Enterprises on it. She's supposed to be destroying it. He catches her in the act. He wants to know what's up, and he starts kind of hassling her, kind of like a grade schooler who has a crush on the girl. He's like trying to get her to confess what's on the flash drive. He locks himself in her office while she's on the outside. It was a really funny and sort of, I'm not gonna lie, sort of charming scene between those two. It's interesting that, in a way, the relationship of Billy and Phyllis, I wonder if the writers are trying to make us feel more like it's a brotherly, sisterly thing now, because they have this just kind of nitpicking at each other, and like Billy was her annoying little brother or something. Although, I mean, the crush element still has to be there. Part of me was wondering, it's like, does Billy really want to know what Phyllis is up to, or does he want to know if Phyllis still likes him? Circle yes or no on this paper and return it to me by the end of class. I mean, I'm not sure exactly what the status of Billy and Phyllis's relationship was or is, but I mean, it was it was a fun little sequence of scenes, and his little stunt earned Billy a security wingman. Now Phyllis has made sure that he has Big Dave. Big Dave is a security guard that is now tasked with following Billy everywhere, from his office to making sure he doesn't get into the Jabot area. He's got Dave as his full-time babysitter, which maybe is exactly what Billy needs. He might need a full-time babysitter, especially for when mommy's not around. If he's not being watched by mommy, Billy's being watched by a babysitter. But I also wanted to ask you guys, did you find that scene to be, or the series of scenes with Billy this week, to be mind-changing at all? I mean, we're talking a lot about the transition of the character of Billy, and I think a lot of us can't help but remember the other actors who played him, how much different the role was in the past. But Jason Thompson is definitely giving it something of his own. I found the actor to just be really superb this week. I love the writing for him now. I love the delivery. He is so smug, and it's sort of a pleasure to watch. It doesn't match up with the previous versions of Billy, but I'm starting to feel like, well, maybe it's an acceptable alternative, and I'm wondering if you guys are feeling that way too. I don't typically like to talk about The Bold and the Beautiful very much, even though I do watch that. But The Bold and the Beautiful recast a very important figure in Ridge. I mean, a main character on the show. And the guy who's playing him now, even though it doesn't remind me of the guy that played him for, decades, but I kind of like him better, and I kind of appreciate the new direction that he's going in. So it's kind of one of those things where you almost have to let go of some of the past sometimes and just get on board for what's going on now. And I'm wondering if you guys are finding it a little bit easier to do that. It just seemed like this week was maybe an opportunity to feature some of Billy's and the actors' better parts, or acting skills or acting chops. But anyway, after Victor accuses Travis, sort of being the Newman Enterprises mole, Travis goes to visit Victoria at Brash and Sassy, only to get a not so warm welcome from her, which Billy witnesses the whole thing. Travis and Victoria have kind of a little fight, and Billy really relishes it. It's like he's kind of happy that there's trouble in paradise there. And I also kind of loved how Kane realized, well, Billy saw that, so I guess that means that he's done doing anything productive for the day. Might as well have Dave escort him out. It's quite clear that, Billy, what is he even good at for Brash and Sassy? Why do they even have him there? He never works. All he ever does is make snarky comments and then toggle back and forth between being in love with Phyllis and being in love with Victoria. It's fall in Genoa City, and that can only mean one thing: Fall Fest. I loved it. I loved seeing the pumpkin patch and the signs for corn mazes and hay rides, and I appreciate that little touch because I'm from the Midwest, and it's true. That is what we have. Everything in the Midwest, or where I am anyway, around this time of year is pumpkins, it's corn harvest, it is hay rides. That captured kind of the essence of the Midwest for me. I thought it was really cool. I love seeing that. I just love in general when Y&R does seasonal stuff, and I don't think they did anything for fall last year, or if they did, it was very small. And I like that now we're seeing these changes in the production value, and it sinks me into Genoa City. It makes me feel like I'm there. So I loved the pumpkin patch. I always love a storm. It's always good when we have a storm. And I don't know if was it Monday or Tuesday's episode, but that whole thing it seemed like a Halloween special or something. Somebody's creeping around outside of Sharon's house just as Paul gets a phone call that Patty's missing from the mental institution. So the whole episode we're like, is Patty outside? She's like a boogeyman. And it wasn't. Don't worry. It turned out just to be a black cat. Or was it Patty? Does Patty have the ability to turn into a black cat is the question for me. Or did she just want a pudding and went to the kitchen to get herself a pudding and she was missing for that? I don't know. Take your pick. It's one or the other. It's either supernatural or it's just pudding. But it was fun. Mariah made friends with a poker. Kevin bonks Nick over the head thinking that he's the stalker, and Nick winds up in the hospital, and Sharon had her 50,000th panic attack over The Secret coming out. So it was a fun little sort of Halloween-y episode, which I can't help but think they were giving us this week because the real drama is going to be ramping up next week and the week after. They're probably like, we're not going to have time for a full Halloween episode with all the drama that's going to be going on, so we'll just give a mini Halloween episode this week. It was fun. I thought that Sharon was fun. Nick was fun. I would think that having Nick at Sharon's house, coming down the stairs, all freshly showered, walking around in just his towel, would make Sharon feel more relaxed. But no, she was just as crazy as ever, except that I swear, I could see her, and frankly Kevin, thinking, please let that towel fall off of Nick. Please let that towel fall off. I was thinking, please let that towel fall off. That would have been really nice. A little bit of icing on that pumpkin cake. Oh, it's been a blast, I think, seeing Nick back at that house. I said it last week and I was feeling it this week. He is getting super comfortable there in Dylan's absence. And in a lot of ways, I think that Nick just really wants desperately to be a part of a family, of any family. I think Nick saw his life taking this trajectory of being married with kids again with Sage and Christian, and it didn't turn out that way for him. And I think he just really wants to somehow have a connection to that. But Sharon realizes that he's connecting too much with Sully, and she convinces him to leave. It was a sad little heartbreaking scene where she sits him down and says, you know, I think that I'm married now and you and I are kind of falling into some old habits. I mean, it would be weird to have your ex-husband living with you again and all of a sudden it's like old times. And she tried to use it as an excuse, saying she was uncomfortable with it, to try to get him to leave the house, and it worked. She's ready to send him back to Chelsea and back to the promise that Nick made to Adam. So for Sharon, it's kind of one crisis averted, but one more crisis pops up. So during the period of time where Patty is supposedly missing from Stone Vale, that's the name of it, Stone Vale, Paul goes there to try to investigate, find out where Patty is, and he goes into her cell, I guess, Patty's room, and he sees that Patty has done a painting of a pregnant woman and standing in front of a door which says Fairview. So there is a pregnant woman in this painting, and Paul figures out immediately that he knows exactly who it is. He knows it's Sharon, and why would his sister be painting that? On top of it all, he manages to take a look at the visitor log, and we all know Mariah was there last week. So he confronts Mariah about the visitor's log. Mariah wriggles her way out of it. He confronts Sharon about the painting, and she wriggles her way out of it. But I'm hearing a lot of buzz that this whole paternity secret is going to be blowing up very, very soon. I am trying to avoid spoilers. I don't want to know anything that's going to happen. I want to, like, whenever it does happen, whether it's next week or the week after, and I think it might be, I want to be fully fresh, and I want to be shocked by it all. But if we're only a week or two away from the big reveal, maybe Patty is simply going to tell Paul. Oh, when Sully's true identity is revealed to be Christian, Chelsea is going to be so happy to have a new connection to Adam. She's been missing him a lot this week, thinking about him a lot. While she was at the hospital visiting Nick, she ran in to the prison guard who Adam choked out. I mean, the only reason he was going to be in prison for the rest of his life anyway was because this prison guard was supposedly going to be in a coma forever. They didn't know if he was going to live or die, and now the prison guard standing in front of her. Not only has he had a miraculous recovery, but he's talking about he wishes Adam was still alive so he could testify for him. I mean, really? I'm sorry, but is this guy a saint or something? A prisoner in the prison that you work in chokes you out, and you want to testify that the prisoner was not responsible for his own actions? I'm sorry, but it makes no sense to me whatsoever. Like, was there some close relationship between Adam and the prison guard that we just never saw? That was way too schmoopy for me. It was obviously, a plot device. That's fine. I get it. But the fact that this guy might as well have had a halo over his head. He must be the most forgiving person on the planet. It was just too sticky sweet for me. But at the same time, I think that it's laying the groundwork for a surprise Adam return. I mean, I think this is YNR's way of signaling to us that Adam's coming back and that there's gonna be no barrier for him being right back into his life with Chelsea and on the outside world. Like, the only thing that was keeping him in prison is now becoming removed. I think we're gonna be seeing Adam sooner than we think. And if so, then Miss Chloe has a reason to be sweating it. it. She was hanging out with Chelsea this week, being all happy, having girl time, and that girl time turned into nightmare time. Chelsea overhears and sees Chloe sleeping on the couch having a nightmare where she says Adam's name aloud, and Chelsea's onto it, wondering why Chloe would be dreaming about Adam. And Chloe, I think, is just like what Chloe did to Adam, or what Chloe thinks she did to Adam, is really weighing on her like a ton of bricks. Chelsea has questioned her about it, and of course Chloe wriggles her way out of it, but I think that Chloe is starting to realize that the walls are closing in, and I was really freaking annoyed also this week that her solution to the whole thing was to try to reconnect with Kevin. She has a scene where she realizes that she needs someone to protect her and her daughter because of this huge secret that she's keeping, and all of a sudden she's calling Kevin over, and they're reuniting and rebonding, and she's acting like she wants to be in a relationship with him again. Like, I'm sorry, but she has got him on a string. It is like sick and pathetic. And I'm not saying that Chloe doesn't have genuine affection for Kevin, but more than not, I feel like this guy is forever gonna be in the friend zone with her. Just very quickly, I wish that I had connected more with Abby and Stitch's relationship, because they broke up this week. They had this very real, very well written, very intense scene in the park. It felt like a marriage crumbling. It felt like a conversation that was happening between two adults that just had irreconcilable differences and were deciding to move on. It was very, very well done. Everything with Abby and Stitch this week was very, very well done, but there was just something in me where I'm like, I wish I cared about this relationship more, because I would feel more sad. I mean, I wanted, I guess, to feel more sad than I did, but instead I'm kind of agreeing with the whole rip the Band-Aid off strategy. This relationship hasn't been working for a while, and I think maybe Y&R just wanted to take us on the journey, leading up to breaking these two up so that they could move on to different things. I totally think that Abby is going to be hooking up with someone else in Genoa City. I don't know, maybe her and Ashley are going to fight over Travis or something, but my bigger question is, what does this mean for Stitch? Because Abby asked him where he was going to move to, and he mentioned maybe he was going to go somewhere closer to where Max is. So that's sort of a signal to me that maybe Stitch isn't going to be hanging around. Does anybody have any information on that I haven't heard yet? I tried looking around and I didn't see anything about it. Is Stitch, is the actor who plays Stitch, going to be headed off canvas for a while? I think last week's Who Said It quote must have been a little bit of a stumper, because only 3 people got it right. The quote was, "You're a little bit sour," and the answer was Patty. Patty said that to Mariah during their meeting at the jail. She said, or the whatever mental facility. Patty said something to Mariah like, "Oh, you're here on Sharon's behalf. It's sweet that you're mommy's little helper, but you're a little bit sour." It was kind of a good line. I was surprised not as many people caught it. I kind of thought you guys were going to nail me on that one, but there were 3 very, very astute people who caught on to it, and those 3 are Sandra and Henry and Gina. So congratulations to those 3 who watched very, very closely and caught that line. I got another quote for you this week. I'm kind of wondering if this one's going to be tough too. I never know. I can never guess. But I'll give you the line, and if you think you know who said it, you can go to yrchat.com and tell me. Here's the line. "I'm on kissing duty." Who would be on kissing duty this week? yrchat.com. If you want to go to the website, you'll see right where you can enter your guess. If you get it right and can tell me who said, "I'm on kissing duty," I will give you your shout out during next week's Y&R Chat. Let's read out just a few comments here. First, Anna left me a voicemail and says to me, Sharon's sweater is banging. I am so glad that somebody mentioned that. Thank you, Anna, for bringing to light Sharon's wardrobe. It was like during the whole kind of Halloween-y episode. I wanted so badly to mention it, but I knew I wasn't going to. I was watching the whole show thinking, that freaking sweater with the cutouts and the sleeves, that is awesome. Like, I would never be able to pull that off in a million years, but dang, she looked good in that black sweater. I want that. I loved how like geometric it looked on the front. It was just awesome. She looked so good. I'm so grateful that Anna, you mentioned that too, because I you know, like some of these things, they're like little things about the show, and I think to myself, I can't do that. I got so much else I got to talk about. I can't focus on each and every sweater that looks good. But since you brought it up, then I feel justified. Daisy on Facebook says, I really hope that Victor is able to stop Jack, because Jack is going off the deep end. Now, I think that's interesting, Daisy, because I've just, I guess, been watching this whole thing between Victor and Jack with like a complete focus that Victor knows what's going on, that Victor planted the information. It really hadn't occurred to me all week that maybe Victor did do what's wrong, and that maybe that preview for Monday's show where Victor wants to talk to Phyllis is going to be Victor actually trying to save Jack from himself. So I want to toss that out there to everybody else. Is everybody kind of reading this in a way that Victor did what he did? Did Victor actually cook the books, or is everybody kind of more of a suspicious mind like me? I'd love to get some comments on that this week, because it's certainly possible. I mean, is there any chance that Victor did cook the books? He knows that Jack exposed it, but is caring enough, I suppose, about Jack on some level that he wants to help save him from himself. It's certainly a possibility. I'd love, again, to get some comments on that this week. Gary left me a voicemail saying, here's a thought, Allie. Phyllis and Jack may be successful in getting back at Victor, but somehow in the middle of this, Jack may find a way to screw Phyllis over too in the process. I think her pain and comeuppance is just beginning. I love that idea, Gary, because all week we're sort of seeing these little hints of Jack maybe wanting to forgive Phyllis, maybe wanting to get back together with her, but still fighting against it. But you might be right. There is 100% possibility here that maybe Jack will not decide to make Victor his only target. Maybe he's going to take his guns and point them over in this other direction and decide to seek revenge on Phyllis too. I think actually that would be kind of a great twist in the story. Jamie also left me a voicemail saying, I kind of want to see Phyllis back with Jack. I know it's kind of one of those things where I do feel the connection between Jack and Phyllis. I've always been a Jack and Phyllis fan, but I also at the same time am not expecting him to forgive her immediately. I mean, in a way, I think I'm kind of more leaning toward what Gary said, where I'm more expecting him to want that revenge. I think it'd be more interesting to watch, actually. I mean, because we've got time to get Jack and Phyllis back together. They could get back together over the course of the next couple of months. I kind of wonder how interesting it would be to maybe see Jack set Phyllis up or something, and see how she feels about him then. See if she still wants him back then. Consuela at yrchat.com says, I actually agree with Hilary about GC Buzz, because GC Buzz is a news source, and any news source has to report the facts of a story, whether they're good or bad, and no matter how it makes people look. Yeah, Consuela, I see that too. Hilary is trying to do a job. She definitely didn't go out of her way to get the counter quote from Victor. That was a good point on Devon's part. But yeah, in a lot of ways, I kind of feel like Hilary's just sort of trying to be Hilary, and she's sort of trying to do a job here and not look like a fool in front of the entire universe. I mean, and it just seems like Devon doesn't seem to want to understand that, or he really wants to pull her around to his way of thinking as if it's the only way of thinking. Justin left me a comment on Facebook. He is our YNR Chat Twitter reporter to the stars. Justin tweeted Kristoff St John and asked him, what's your favorite moment or storyline on the show? And Kristoff St John tweeted back. I love it that our YNR actors and actresses actually do a good job of interacting with the fans and want to answer questions like that. But Kristoff St John said there's too many to list. However, the moment that Neil finds out that Lily is not his child. Yeah, I'd say that was a pretty good moment too. I mean, and that was one of the biggest moments probably for that character. I love that question, Justin, and I just love that he actually tweeted back. I know that Kristoff St John's going through a lot right now, and we're not seeing a whole lot of him on the show, but I would eventually really like to see him come back. I liked seeing the dinner scene, particularly between Devon and Lily and Neil. It was just nice to have them sit down and talk. Even having that little moment between Neil and Jack this week was kind of nice. I think Neil has a lot to offer, a lot to bring to the show, and I wish we'd see more of him. I feel like I'm always in a cycle of saying that. Sandra at yrchat.com says, maybe it's the new crew at YNR Production. There's just been a variety of places on screen that we've been seeing that we haven't seen in the recent past. To me, it's just making the whole show more enjoyable and more realistic. I really wanted to focus on that comment of Sandra's this week because I feel that this week especially too. I mean, not just like the whole pumpkin patch thing, but like, back to that dinner scene with Lily and Devon and Neil at Newman Tower. I really liked that Lily was sitting there taking photos of the menu because she wanted to step up her game and make sure she was providing the very best menu for the restaurant at the athletic club. That's such a tiny little moment that YNR would never have had to throw in there, but it reminds me that Lily runs the athletic club. It gives me a sense of what her job description is, and it's just so tiny but yet so effective in creating a scene. I really liked the shots outside of GC Buzz where it was like we were looking I mean, we had it at Jack's house too. It's like we're looking from the outside through a window into where the characters are, and there was a lot of kind of handheld scenes at GC Buzz, and another one too was the very end scene for the Abby and Stitch breakup. Even though I wasn't hugely into the Abby Stitch breakup, that final scene where they're just, panning, the camera kind of following her walking away from Ben, showing him in the background and her face just walking away from her husband and to a future that is uncertain. It just does so much. It's just like little camera moments, little scenes. I mean, these little touches really help bring you into the world of Genoa City and just kind of keep you immersed in the storyline even more. Okay, everybody, I think that is going to do it for me for this week. But first, I also wanted to give everybody a heads up that I have winter soaps for Genoa City Soap that are going to be cured and ready within the coming weeks. So I guess if we can't get Brash and Sassy's Bear, we can at least get our Genoa City soaps. And for winter 2016, I made up 4 all new soaps that you've never seen before, never smelled before. They're all super fabulous. I can't wait to reveal them all, but I think I'll talk more about that in the coming weeks. But I wanted to give everybody a heads up that we're gonna do a giveaway on them, and I'm gonna start that on Sunday, November 6th. So I just want everybody to know, I know some people go on vacation or maybe they don't get a chance to listen to the very, very end of each and every week, or I don't want anybody to miss out. So Sunday, November 6th, there will be a soap giveaway, and then I'll open up the shop the following Sunday, which I think is the 13th. So if you want to stay updated on that, go to GenoaCitySoap.com and sign up for the newsletter, because then I will send out an email notification as soon as the giveaway is live, so you are guaranteed not to miss it. And I also do secret giveaways through that newsletter. So if you're interested in some Y&R inspired soap, go to GenoaCitySoap.com, sign up for the newsletter, and you'll be all set. Come back Sunday, November 6th. We'll do a giveaway, and then the following Sunday, the 13th, we'll announce the winner of the giveaway, and I'll open up the shop and all that good stuff. So that'll be just kind of in time for the holidays and for Christmas, and some of these scents I think are kind of perfect for winter and for Christmas. I think you're gonna like them. So that's my little announcement for this week. I hope that you guys will give me your comments. Let me know how you felt about this week's Y&R. YRChat.com is the website where you can leave comments all over the blog. You can find the YouTube and the Facebook pages, the podcast, and of course you can call into my voicemail at 309-588-4569 to sound off. Let me know how you feel. I always enjoy hearing from you guys, and I will be back next week to chat again about our show. So everybody have a good one. I love you, and I'll see you next time. Bye.